Yes. So I am Evan Boehm. Hello, FITC, Group Creative Director of Experience and AI at Buck. So we are 400 plus. I said 500. We are part of a larger network of companies called Residence. There's eight of us, I believe, which is about 500. But Buck itself is around 400, which scales up and down depending on number of freelancers, up to like six, 700 sometimes. And we partner with brands across design, motion, experience, branding, and we make a lot of stuff. We have things here from Spider-Verse. We worked on the opening for that. Love, Death, and Robots. We've done a couple episodes. We work with The Road. There's a few brands here I see: GitHub, Adobe, 7up. We do a lot of stuff. We even have our own little mini game studio. Um, and what I'm going to talk about today is this intersection between craftspeople and AI, because who we are and our success, being this large, one of the largest companies of our kind, is just always trying to have a very diverse range of talent and hoping that they are the best in the world, always trying for that. So we have people here like Twisha or Alex or Melissa. Each one of these artists have, their own sense of artistry. They're very expressive. They all have their unique voices. We have people like Sylvia, Devin, Zach, that can flex into more branding or 3D and the stuff that's, rather classy and very or quirky, and how detailed these things could be. And we have people like Simon, Melissa, Christo, and we just have a very, very wide range of artists. And that's what we try to be: the home of the best artists in the world and the most diverse. So when people come to us, we can really flex in so many different ways. And we say we're a design agnostic studio, or it's almost like a design everything studio. And so always has been, and we've been around 20 years, is a craft first group. We are also deeply, deeply embedded with many of the world's leading technology companies. Of course, we all know all of them are making big plays in AI. We have here some of our main ones. Each of these here, I would say we've done over 100 projects each. I think maybe even Meta, we've done over 1,000 projects for them at this point. Stuff ranging from campaigns. We do a lot of black box stuff for them. We work, sometimes directly with their engineers. We help envision what their products are over multiple years. The one on the far right is, they're all doing AI stuff, and we're actually working with a lot of the kind of prominent AI companies and stuff we can't quite talk about yet, but if you think of them, we're likely working with them in some form. So, and this is where I get into the meat of this, there is tension. AI ignores consent. AI can copy without effort. It strips it of its human touch, and it devalues what a lot of these people have devoted their whole lives to, what I've devoted a lot of my life to. And on like a personal level, it's AI has taken away my friends' current jobs, and there's a good possibility it might take away my future ones. So internally here with all of us, there is a tension. We are a people-first organization, but we also, as a business, are always trying to deliver as good partners for our current clients and for our future clients. And he mentioned the knife's edge. Like, how do you kind of do both these things in the context of this constantly changing place? So we've kind of divided this talk into two parts. How we think of our artists, how we help our artists, and the clients. So first, the artist. This is our kind of tagline: shifting tools, not culture. The idea that the tools are always changing. Yes, it might change from a pencil and a pen and a paintbrush and a Wacom, but our culture of craft first, of high detail, of like pixel, like massaging everything till it's absolutely perfect, is not going to change. So, but we know that AI is not going away. And even if it becomes anything you can imagine machine, you still need people to imagine with intent. You can't just, these are just slot machines for the most part. And so we still need people who are tastemakers and have an understanding of like why this character is better than that character, why this should bounce this way. That is still an understanding. And there's still an artistic intent that is needed with these things. So with these tools, we still need to adopt, because they're here, they're going to make things faster, different, more productivity, yada, yada. So our challenge is adoption, But our goal with all this is new forms of creativity at still that highest level of craft. We are avoiding so much of that stuff that's, push button, there it is. So our plan for our artists, we've got this kind of fancy diagram here, where we try to make sure that we have a vision of where we're going, make sure that everybody has the right skills. We have our staff have incentives to get these skills. We give resources, we have a plan, and hopefully we have change. We are changing for the better. And if we lose any of these things, we might have confusion, anxiety, resistance, frustration, and it might just not work at all. So here's kind of what we lined up, and I'm going to go through these. Our vision, that idea of shifting tools, not culture, always putting craft first. Yes, we're adaptive. We're adapting all the tools you can think of, from Midjourney to Comfy. It's all there. And we want to experiment. We want to test. We want to prod. And we want to help each other. I think a lot of this is, we have concept artists who have no idea what the A and I mean, and some who are like deep into it. So it's the idea of supporting and not shaming, and trying to, as a group, which is the next one, make work that baffles. We've always made work that we feel is of a high quality, and we want to make work in this AI era where people still are like, wait, how'd they do that? How was that made? And through all this, guiding clients' skills, every department now has classes, workshops, we have regular meetups, from the very simple, like we had our global head of design walking everybody through Adobe's Firefly, to more complex, where like the technical directors in 3D are helping to rebuild our Comfy UI pipeline. Start small with image, text, but we are laddering up as many people as we can into animation, which is what we're known for, building out workflows, making sure that everybody has these skills when possible. And some people are just like, I like a pencil. And we actually love that. Like, we would love if somebody was just there doing cell animation for, the way they used to do it 100 years ago. We still do cell animation, but we also do this other stuff. And we try to have work that can do both and have place for these artists. But we want to, at the same time, make sure that people are aware that these are there and that they can change and hopefully want to change. So new career opportunities, we have new roles. We have fun things like weekly image making competitions, celebration, comms work. Definitely over the last year, we've moved away from this, or moving away from the idea of like Buck singular to comms work that sometimes just talks about a single artist. And a lot of times when we're pushing that, it's artists and how they're experimenting and using AI. So a lot more R&D projects are going out into our comms work. And we have innovation budgets and non-client budgets, trying to focus a lot of that on AI to get people to have fun. And those tend to be the most fun projects. And of course, excuse me, resources. Some of these projects, some of these products, I'll take Midjourney, doesn't have good enterprise. So we're having to figure out how to get all these people the tools that they can use. They go out and find something that's kind of interesting, like Creo, which is, a very small kind of software group. Like, all right, you pay for that, we'll get your money back. We're integrating this in a pipeline, so anybody gets on always one of these high performance machines, turns it on, and we've provided a lot of the software there, easy to use without having to figure this all out. And yeah, everybody's trying to get more and more GPUs, I guess, like the rest of the world. An action plan. Well, I guess all those parts is our action plan. And we have one with, more formal, less boring, with things like timelines and budgets and all that. So hopefully with all this, the vision, the skills, incentive, resources, we're trying to not, it says change, but a lot of ways it's trying to get to a better future, because so much of the fear is that, oh, AI is just going to, make artists obsolete. I don't believe that. We don't believe that. But we want to get to a place where it's like our clients don't believe that. Creativity still execute at a level that it's just better. So I'll talk about the other side, the clients, because we do get some interesting requests with AI out there. And the thing that we always come back to with clients is this line: start with originality. Start here. We are asked to create training data. We've been asked to deliver models. We help a lot of the companies I listed before vision what new AI-infused products and features for their existing stuff could be. We help develop communication strategies and outputs. We've done a few commercials about Gen AI. And this last one, we collaborate with AI companies. These are the new Google, Microsofts of the world. We are collaborating with them, and there is a tension of that. But as good partners, we guide. We have many of these kind of decision trees of how projects come in. How do we deal with it? How do we, we get asked to make models. We've been asked to make models of a specific artist's work. We that works at Buck. We've been asked to make models that mimic a famous artist's work. And all this, some of this is really dicey, and we always go back to that. Start with originality, because we won't copy an ownable style. We will not turn an artist's personal voice into an AI, and we avoid illustration trends. I mean, we've always kind of done that third one, but now it's much more serious, because if you respect artists and their craft, you need to respect that level of consent and their voice, because they are people. And so we try to have this guiding conversation with clients where we always ask for transparency. A lot of times the thing will come in and say, hey, can we have 1,000 illustrations? And we know right off the bat what that means. You want 1,000 illustrations of one file? Well, okay, what is this for? If you're making this type of model, what product does that go in? How will people use it? These type of things. And we give full transparency to artists. We always tell artists this is for an AI specific product. This is going to go somewhere in AI. There's AI tooling in this particular group. And we always start with there. And some artists, freelance and staff, have both asked, so like, okay, I don't want to work on that. And we try to work around those things. We start with consent first, not after. This is a big one. A lot of companies you'll hear like, oh, we've gone back through all our work of the past or all our pitches, and we've built models that kind of help us generate ideas or help us generate new visuals. And we're like, that work was made with a purpose for what it was. But to go back and take that work is to lack consent for those artists. So we are not doing that. And if anybody's having their work going into a model, we make sure, I guess it's transparency for artists. We talk about that. And where possible, licensing deals for artists. So typically it's work for hire. Okay, come produce an image over 2-3 days. But now it's almost like an actor in a commercial. Like, oh wait, your work is going to live on and make additional work for the next 2 to 3 years. Okay, how can we figure out licensing deals for that work and talk about it as value versus an hour, which is really tricky. Not only on our side, but on clients who totally agree with this and trying to get through their legal and other barriers. So yeah, start with originality. It's changed our creative process. With them, we no longer, or at least on these type of projects, start with mood boards. Mood boards are the classics, like, all right, let's get a vibe, let's get a feeling. But now it's like seeing that we can copy anything at ease. We're trying to not do mood boards of the same genre or mediums that we're doing. So for example, we will go towards stage design or fashion to talk about animation. I've got a Pinterest really long now around theater, which is actually really great. We try to design work from the level up. So instead of having these mood boards, it's like, okay, let's start with, here's a board of zoomed in textures. Here's a board of like, what is the stroke lines, the colors? We avoid overall composition. It's like, how do you get down to the root of what people are making? And if you start there and then build upwards, you are starting to build original things. If you start with like, oh, here is this work that I've got in the mood board, you're starting from the top down. It's easy to copy. And we're trying to start from the bottom up. So this has been a really interesting process. It becomes difficult because you don't always early know where you're going. And hopefully we can guide clients along that path, and they trust us and we trust them to get to a place that feels original and feels from a place of ethically good, for lack of a better way of saying it there. And hopefully, yeah, honest collaboration. We want to do the best work for our clients, and we want to respect the craft of artists. And I think we've been doing it. So it's kind of these two things. Man, I've gone through this really fast. And then in half the time, we're going to totally have questions. These two poles, so to speak, that were kind of the knife's edge, shifting tools, not culture, focusing on that for our artists and for clients, starting with originality and staying true to that and not allowing them to or not allowing them to commission us work that deviates from that. And what's interesting is when you kind of put these side by side, is that you can switch them. Always having artists that focus on originality has always been a key thing for us. And now it's just so much more important to stay ahead of where this is going. And to clients, it's just as important. We are not changing who we are for you. We are not going to, deliver subpar work at speed. We are still, I mean, maybe there is more speed because we're shifting tools, but we are still going to work with you to deliver the highest quality thing that we can. And that's not going to change. So yeah, thanks. No AI was used in this presentation. That's all I got.